Hi guys, Kathleen here. It's been a minute since I've recorded a video. I actually have notes and I actually planned on doing this in January, which was already like 5 months late, but here we are. Lots and lots of stuff has happened, which is why I have been a little absent from YouTube, but I have missed you guys. So let's start with who I am. My name is Kathleen, and for those of you who are not in this country, I am in Colorado in the USA. It is Sunday. It is April 23rd, 2023. I've had a lot happen in the last few months. And if you're looking for me anywhere other than YouTube, you will find me most active on Instagram as the Pearled Nest. And I am on Ravelry as, I think I'm SpecialKHolla. I am not active on Ravelry at all. In fact, most of the time I forget to put my projects up there. So just know that really this is probably the best place to find me, or Instagram. I probably should share with you a little bit of what's happened since I was last here, because it's been long enough that I probably should share a little bit without going into too much detail. So this is episode 18. My last episode, episode 17, was in July of 2022. We had recently had a very serious incident happen with my husband in June, and I was kind of trying to keep things a little bit normal and recorded a video in July, but our world was really changed when that happened. And I tried to embrace keeping things as normal as possible, but it just was not working. And some other things have happened in the meantime. My husband was in a very serious car accident in June. He had a traumatic brain injury. He was out of work for a month. He is still suffering the effects from the brain injury, although they are probably 85% better at this point. He's very, very fortunate to be alive, and he's very fortunate that he's come out of this the way he has. He is back to work. He is driving. He is mostly doing okay. Some things that I notice and the family notices, but most people out there really probably wouldn't notice anything different. So that was very traumatic. Our family went through that. In fact, when I recorded last, I think he hadn't even started back at work yet. I think he was about to start back at work. But then in October, so I had COVID in July. Actually, I think I had COVID either right before or right after I recorded this. I can't remember. The 17th one last July. And then by August, I was starting to notice some weird things, and physically for myself, and had my annual doctor's appointment in October and was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Now, I've had metabolic syndrome since I was a kid. I've been pre-diabetic for years, and basically the immune storm that COVID causes basically pushed me over that edge into diabetes. My doctor wanted to put me on medications. I said to her, no thank you. Please let me try 3 months on my own and see what I can do. And in 3 months, I managed to lose 30 pounds. I have my own, this is what worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but what worked for me was I became vegetarian, although I do eat eggs and a little bit of dairy, a tiny bit of dairy. And I fasted 1 day a week, 24-hour fast. So I would eat breakfast in the morning and then nothing until breakfast the next day. And when I had then January 1st, my husband and I, we were doing this whole fasting thing together. We decided to go to 2 days a week because we felt like, okay, we could do 1 day a week, but 2 days a week was optimal. And so we went to 2 days a week on January 1st. I had my next checkup in January, and I had lost 30 pounds, and I had managed to lower my A1C to pre-diabetic level again. And if you know anything about what that means, that's a really big deal. My doctor shook my hand and she had a big grin on her face and asked me what the heck I was doing, and then told me, when I told her, she said, keep doing it. So I did. And now I'm down 41 pounds. And we'll continue to do this until I hit what I consider to be my ideal weight, which is important. Weight is honestly not something I would ever judge somebody by or expect anybody else to follow this. But for me, for the fatty liver issue I had, for where I keep weight on my body, I really had to lose weight. And so I have managed to do so, and I will try to get to where I really want to be and then maintain. So that happened. And then in March, I keep wanting to like start recording, and then something else would happen. And then in March, we had, our family was involved in an attack, I guess you would call it. Somebody attacked us, a drunk person, after a hockey game. And that sent me into a bit of a spiral. So I really needed to feel like things were starting to get back to normal before I could record again. And then we started construction on an addition on our house. So hopefully it's not going to be too noisy. It is Sunday. The workers are not here, but my husband's out there. He's a contractor. He is out there right now doing a little bit of work. So if you hear a little bit of noise, a little banging, something like that, just understand and be patient, please, because once this project is finished, it's going to be amazing. But for right now, it's a mess. So I do have notes, and I probably should follow my notes. I did talk about where you can find me. Did talk about why I've been absent, actually. I might put a picture or two of my vehicle that my husband was involved in the car accident in. My previous vehicle, I should add, because it was totaled. I'll put a picture of that right here, and you can take a look at the trauma that happened. Okay, so since July, I have gotten a lot of knitting done. I actually can't even show you everything that I've finished. So I'm going to try and keep this to an hour. Let's talk about what I'm wearing. And if I can do this without really messing up the microphone too much, this is the iceberg sweater. This is the iceberg sweater. Shoot, I'm going to have to put it in the notes down there. This is the iceberg sweater. It's typically a long sleeve sweater, but I have made the short sleeve version. And the reason for that is because of the yarn I chose. And as I was knitting it up and trying it on, it just was lending itself really well to a short sleeve sweater. So it's a great like spring or fall like layering sweater. It is made with, so Shibui, went out of business. And when they went out of business, my local yarn shop was selling off their stock. Oh shoot, I have more yarn to show you too. So this is Shibui Billow. This is alpaca and cotton, and it's like the cotton is twisted to hold the alpaca fibers in. This color I think is graphite. And because it's cotton and alpaca, it's really great for a spring. Like, it just lends itself well to a short sleeve sweater. So it's a great spring and autumn piece. So I made it short sleeved. As I was knitting it, maybe I can stand up and show you. If you could see the setup here, like things are not where they normally are. Let's see. So I made it not cropped, but I made it just, so there's the top of my jeans. And it's just below the top of my jeans. These are high-waisted. There's some of the jeans I'm going to have to replace at some point because they're way too big on me. But so they're just like, here's the top of the jeans. They're just like the ribbing is, and maybe a little bit more, is just below the top of the jeans. And it has this really cool feature on the side. Maybe it's better if I go this way. I don't know if you can see. The, like, it kind of goes up like this. There's this really cool feature that kind of works its way into the ribbing. Kind of looks like an iceberg. One on that side, one on this side, and then the top has this really cool V that's created by, it's really a broken rib actually, pretty much, which is what makes this. And what I really love about this sweater is the shoulders are so different. So this is like these sleeves are not, these shoulders are created when you knit the neck and then the top part, and then you start going around. It's a very interesting design, and it almost looks like a set-in sleeve. Can you see that? It looks a little bit like it's a set-in sleeve right there. And maybe you can see it better here. No, yeah, sort of. So it looks like a set-in sleeve, but it's not. It's really cool. It was kind of challenging to figure it out as I was knitting it, to understand what I was doing actually. And I'm one of those people just trust the pattern, just do what the pattern says, don't second guess it. It's rare that there's a mistake, because I always look for the errors that are published afterwards too. So because typically if there's some glaring errors, the designer will publish those. So I looked for them, there were none, and I just followed the pattern, and it's a really cool detail. And I definitely would make another one of these, and if I could still get billow, I would probably make more of them in billow, and I'd make more short sleeves. So what I did is you do separate for the sleeves, and then you start knitting in the round for the body. This is actually knitted in the round too. I don't know how to explain it. I'm probably doing a really crappy job of it. But so you do put the sleeves on hold, because you're potentially going to be making long sleeves. And I decided when I was trying it on that I really liked it short sleeved, and I kind of asked my family, like, what do you think? And they're like, yeah, short sleeves. So I just decided, just when I was finished, I just did the ribbing. So when I picked up the sleeves to finish them off, I just decided to do, I don't know, that's like 1.5 inches of ribbing right there, kind of like I do at the top of my socks. So yeah, oh, you can see, yeah, it's like 1.5 inches of ribbing I did, like, yeah, old arms. I just did some ribbing there. So I really like it. It fits like a flipping glove. This is the medium. I made the medium size, and I did carefully block it. If I could take off the microphone, I'm gonna try and mess with this a little bit, but I did like what's more like the funnel neck. So when my microphone is not weighing it down, it's actually like this, and my microphone's weighing it down a little bit. Gosh, I hope that's not too loud. Where are you? Here you are. Anyway, so when the microphone's not on, it does sit up a little higher, and it's the funnel. Not really, it's not super funnely, but it's closer in the neck. This yarn does not itch at all, not even in the slightest. It's very comfortable. It breathes. I don't even know how to explain it. It just breathes. It's very comfortable to wear for the spring weather we have right now. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. Now, I will put the caveat in of, I feel like to make this sweater, you probably should be an intermediate knitter, because I don't know that I would recommend this shoulder feature, how this knits, to someone who is a novice, a beginner knitter. This seems more like an intermediate sweater, but it's totally worth it. I would totally make more of them. There's just so much out there to knit that I'm not sure if I will make another, but I would 100% make another one if I could find a yarn that I thought would be perfect for it. So that's what I'm wearing, and it's very comfortable. Let's talk about all of the things I finished. And I don't put it all on Ravelry, so you won't find it all there. But I do put, I want to say I do put 99.9% of it on my Instagram. So for ever wanting to see any of my projects, just, go on over to my Instagram, The Purled Nest, and you'll see my projects. If you scroll through, that's like my podcast Instagram account. I have a personal one too. But that one's where I put all of my knitting and my projects that I've done, and my yarn dyeing and crocheting and any kind of crafty stuff I've been doing. That's where I put all that. So that's really the best place to see all the projects I've been working on. And then if you have questions, you can always just DM me in those different posts. And if you have any questions about how I made them and what I made them from, etc. Because in some cases, I'm not even going to remember the yarn that I made them from. I tried to take notes and make sure that I have them, but we shall see how successful I was. Okay, so I do have a whole lot of knitted squares. You know, this project is from, oh gosh, when did I start this project? Like 2 years ago, something like that. I can't remember how long ago maybe a year ago, I don't remember. I decided I had all these, you know, minis because I had joined Row 1 Yarns and I had just amassed this huge amount of minis and other minis I bought over time too. And so what I've been doing is making little squares. Whoops. These are little like 3x3 squares. This one's really pretty. Kind of reminds me of the ocean. So I made, in some cases I can get 2 of them. In most cases I can get 2 of them out of one mini, 10-gram mini. So they're only 5 grams each. But in some cases they're probably not quite 10 grams. So I have to fill in a little bit. But I do have, I think at this point I have like 250 of them because I just have like 3.5 more right here in my cute little bag. So I decided what I'm gonna do is I got a cone of fingering weight, like a gray colored yarn. Actually, what I should do is show you the yarn I got. Hold please. Okay. I probably am going to show you some acquisitions just because since I was going and grabbing this, I thought might as well grab all of it. I also took my glasses off because I can see you better this way. Okay, actually I should say I can see myself better this way so I can see what I'm doing here. So I decided I'm going to make those little squares into a Battenberg blanket. And if you go on Ravelry, you'll see the Battenberg blanket. I heard about it from Kettu Knits, which is Jana of Kettu Knits. She's in Finland, and actually her podcast is one of my absolute favorites of all time. I just love her energy. Anyway, she made a Battenberg blanket. Now her squares are smaller. I think mine might be like 3.5 by 3.5. I think hers are a little smaller because she said hers only take like 3 grams each, and I know mine are probably about close to 5 grams each. So hers are definitely, and if you look at hers on her blanket, when she holds the little squares up, they're definitely smaller than mine. But what I originally was going to do was just kind of like crochet all those, like maybe use single crochet of a coordinating neutral color. Not really coordinating because the minis are like every color of the rainbow. In fact, I'll put a picture here of the minis that I picked. I sorted them by color and I keep them in this little thing at the side of my table here, and I sorted them by color just so I could keep an eye on what I've got in there and where I might need to fill in a little bit. And I was just going to use like a coordinating neutral to kind of tie it all together and then do maybe an I-cord edging all the way around it, which kind of intimidates me a little bit when I think about like a 4-foot by 6-foot blanket and all that I-cord for the edging. I don't know. We shall see what I end up doing. Maybe there's something similar in crochet that creates a similar kind of bind off on it. I'm gonna have to do a little homework on that. I don't typically do a lot of crochet, but lately I've been doing a little bit more, and this is a project I don't want to like knit the pieces together. I want to crochet them together. We're going to keep it all in the same techniques, I guess, basically, or craft type. So I was trying to figure out what to tie it all together with, and I was getting pretty close to starting to think about piecing it together. And I got this. I got this on Etsy, and I'll put below the name of the shop that I got it from. It was very reasonable. This is Jaegerspun, 100% superwash wool sock yarn. There is no nylon or anything like that in it. Oh, I should mention that all of my minis are all the squares are all made with sock yarn, and in most cases it is like 80-20 or 75-25 wool and nylon. This is just superwash, and it just seemed like it would be a really good color. Let's see if maybe I can grab some. My beverage. Stay hydrated, people. So, let's see. If I pull out some random color, like say this one. This is that was a case where actually I was I think the minis might have been, some of them are a little smaller, and so I had to fill in with another color, and I got super random when I did it. But you can see this is the gray. There we go. That's a little better. It looks fairly true to what it is. You can see there's that pink one with it. Ooh, where did I get this from? Right here. Oh, I'm messing up my order. And then say I pull out something like this one. Or maybe this one. Like the gray actually seems to go really well with all those colors. It seems to be a really, this particular gray, which is like, it's coming up. There's a window, very big window here, and I can't really, I've already pulled down the roller shade to try and, you know, mute the light a little bit, but it's still pretty bright. Maybe here. Yeah, actually, that's pretty close. That's pretty much what it looks like. It's like a heathered gray color, like a steel gray. I think the color is actually called steel. Jagerspun, lot 16, 844, color yarn in steel. And it says it's waxed. I don't really know what that means. So I'm gonna have to do a little reading on that. But I think what it means is when I wash it, it's going to bloom quite a bit, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. So this is, how much was on here? This is, I don't remember how much was on here. It's a lot. I probably won't even need this whole thing for this blanket. We shall see. But I think what I'm going to do is, so alternating squares. So I'm going to start crocheting up squares just like these. I'll start crocheting squares of this up, and every other square will be one of these gray ones. Now, the Battenberg blanket uses a really interesting technique where you are picking up all those squares I made. I can make my coordinating squares with this, and I can pick up the edges on all of the squares I've already made and start piecing it together as I'm crocheting these. So it just seems brilliant, and I was a little worried about having to sew together, you know, 300-400 of those little 3x3 squares. And this is great because then as I'm making these, it's going to start coming together and I'll get to start see what it looks like. So I'm pretty excited about this. And yeah, so watch the space. Okay, next we have, I made these so long ago. I made so many dishcloths. I'm not really a big fan of this one, but it's one of them. I also have a gray one like this, red one. I have a yellow one that's really pretty. It's just all solid yellow and kind of a honeycomb. And then I made just some, this is dishy, and you can see it fades a little bit just from use and washing because it was a really vivid color. I should grab the original ball for you, but it's dishy. It's like a burgundy color. And actually this is all dishy. It's this yellow and a gray. I think I choose a lot of gray. Gray, yellow, and this burgundy. And actually this one's not quite as faded out as the others. The yellow is holding up really well. So I bought those 3 colors and just a whole bunch of dishcloths. I had some leftover sugar and cream, so I made some out of sugar and cream, and I'm just like trying different patterns just to see which one is most comfortable for all of us. This one's a little big, so I'm not a huge fan of that one. Oh, and I did make some Bodhi leaves. Have you ever seen the Bodhi leaves on, I think they're on Ravelry. I can't remember if they're on a website or if they're on Ravelry. See the Bodhi leaf? Isn't that cool? It has like this little spine that goes down the center, just like the top third of it. And it forms like this little cup shape. I have seen somebody actually made a Bodhi leaf. I can't remember what fiber they used, but they made a Bodhi leaf, and because it does like so nicely stay in this like little cup shape, they used it as like a little like tray or bowl or something to just like, you know, drop your jewelry in or something like that, because it really does lend itself really well to that. Here's another one in, I think this was a leftover white cotton that I had, or cream color cotton. This one's more that sugar and cream. I think it looks better in the white, but it's that same design. And this is I think this was the free one that's a little bit of a knockoff of the original Bodhi leaf. I don't remember if it's Pearl Soho or who it was that has the original Bodhi leaf, but I think the original one's a paid pattern, and as I recall, it was going to make it too big. And this pattern that I used made it literally just the right size. So it like fits when it's wet, it flattens out a little bit, and it fits so perfectly in your hand when you're washing dishes. So I really like this one. So I made a whole bunch of these. Probably gonna make a whole bunch more this summer because they make great gifts. Then, what's next? I'll have to put a picture here of the striped socks that I made because they're in the wash right now. So I made a pair of striped socks for myself. Those are made out of, it's not lollipop yarn. If I can remember the name of the yarn, oh man, it's been so long. If I can remember the name of the yarn, I'll put it down below. I'll just say like striped socks, and then I'll put the name of the yarn that I put in there. And I don't use a pattern, it's literally all in my head. Although I do like the German short row heel. I did make, and I'll also put a picture here, I made the lotus brim beanie. I made that as a giveaway for a silent auction that my company had for our foundation. I did one of those, and that was done in Malabrigo, Rios, I think. It's whatever the really chunky one is. And I had bought a really fluffy, nice faux fur pom-pom to go on top of it. And I actually bought enough of the yarn to make 2 more of those hats. So I'll make 2 more and either gift them or wear them myself. And I got the pom-poms to go with them too. And then I also made the rooftop landing hat, and I donated that one too. I did that one out of polka dot sheep yarn. And I don't remember, I think the original pattern actually might have been knit in polka dot sheep yarn. So I did that too, and I also donated that to the silent auction. They both did really well in the silent auction. And I think that was in like September, something like that. And then I did my own, I think I talked to you guys about these before. I should have brought a sock blocker with me, but these are my little shorty socks that I made. This is Phyllis sock from Huloko. I think this is the ash color, I believe. And this is my own design. I mean, go ahead and steal the design because I'm not publishing it. But basically what I did was I had a pair of like sport socks, and I loved just this like one little design feature it had, which was a kind of a racing stripe that went down just kind of like the top third of the foot. And I was like, well, I can do that. So I did it. So what I did, if you could see it, is I divided the top of the foot, the half, because I do magic loops, so the instep side of the foot, I divided it mentally with math into thirds, and I just did the racing stripe, which is just a pearl knit pearl. So this is a stockinette, it's just all knit stitches aside from the ribbing, and actually it kind of ties into the ribbing a little bit. So then when I went into the body of the sock, well actually the leg, because I do 20 rows, I do 1.5 inches here, and then I do 20 rows of stockinette before I get down into the heel. But I just divided the instep into thirds, and I just did the pearl knit pearl to get this really cool stripe. And it doesn't look quite as variegated when it's in my hand as it does on the screen. It looks, like kind of like micro stripey almost, but it doesn't look like that in real life. So I made those. They have German short row heels. That's my favorite heel. And I love these little shorty socks. I'm going to probably make a whole lot more. I actually have another pair that I think I might have showed last time. I have a pair I made out of polka dot sheep yarn in the mulberry color that turned out really good. They're also some of my favorites. Oh, and my Shoppable, I think is what it's called. I made a pair out of that too. It was a yarn I had gotten a couple years ago in Montana. And it's a commercially made, I think it's German yarn, and I made the same sock without the racing stripe, just a little basic shorty sock. I made that too, and I love those. Like, these 3 pairs of shorties are like some of my absolute favorite socks when it's like not freezing cold. So I made those. Okay. So I had a finished object, which I had to rip out, and is now, so I frogged it, and now it's a whip. So we'll get to that. It's on my finished objects list here, but I have since frogged it, and it's a whip again. Let's see. I made a watch cap. The Pearl Soho pattern for the watch cap. I made one of those, and I'll put a picture in here of my grandson wearing it. I made it for him. He's 4 years old today, and I marled it. So I don't even know what they were because they were in my stash, but I had a plain black and a plain like creamy color wool yarn. I am 99.9999% sure that it is superwash yarn, because who wants to be hand washing a hat for a 4-year-old? But I did make, it is a wool yarn that I made it out of, and it is so cute on him, so cozy. It just looks to me like a hug on your head. So I did make one of those, and I sent it off to him, so he's got it now. I don't have to show. Oh, I don't know if you remember, I talked about at one point I was going to do a class at our local yarn shop for making mittens. Oh, look, the sun went in a little bit. It's so much better. To make mittens, and it wasn't really, like, nobody really signed up for it, so they canceled the class, and I was going to do 2 at a time, because I was going to teach it just like I teach my socks, and nobody really signed up for it, so I had a sample of the mittens started, and I was like, and they let me keep the sample, so I was like, well, might as well finish them, so I did. These are literally some of the coziest mittens I've ever had. They're alpaca. I don't remember the yarn. It's Blue Sky Fibers. I don't remember the color. I don't remember I don't have the ball band for them or anything, but I made, can you see that cable detail? This is the Woodcutter's Daughter mittens, and that is on Ravelry. I had done, because I wanted to show that you could do some, you could even do striping and color work and stuff when you do it 2 at a time. So I had done this this pink stripe with it. Normally I probably wouldn't have done that, but I did it just for the class. So I finished them, and these are some of the coziest mittens I've ever made for myself. They're not really good when it's very, very windy, because the wind will go right through them. But if it's not windy, these are so cozy, and they fit so perfectly, and I absolutely, absolutely love them. They're not itchy at all, and they fit in my pocket really well, and they don't make my pockets all bunch out. So these live in my puffy jacket. I keep it in the pockets, so that way I always have some cozy mittens on me, because I prefer mittens over gloves any day of the week. And let's see. Oh, I have it written down. That was the Woodcutter's Daughter pattern. Oh, look at this. I actually was smarter than I thought I was, and I have all my yarn written down. So, Lotus Beanie. That was Malabrigo Rasta, and it had a faux fur pom-pom. I also forgot to talk about the dinosaur and shark socks I made for my grandson. I'll put a picture of that up here too. Those are made out of polka dot sheep yarn, Hue Loco, and Camp Color yarns. And then the shorty socks I already told you. The cami we're going to get to. The watch cap is the Pearl Soho watch cap. I have no idea what the yarns were. The next thing I finished is So we're going to talk about, I think it's pronounced Circle by Albina McLaughlin. Now, I like some of her patterns, but most of them don't really resonate with me. They're just a little too big and baggy, and I don't like big and baggy clothing. I mean, you can tell this one fits. I like things that just fit. I don't want them to be tight, and I don't like things, generally speaking, that are big and baggy. They have a place for me, but I don't wear them frequently. I had gotten some Nutidin. Had been sitting in my stash for a little bit, I think just a few months, when I decided to cast this on and knit this. I had seen, what is her name? What is her name? There's an Australian knitter. She's so prolific. She knits so much. Her name, I'm going to have to put it on the screen because I don't remember. But she had done one of these sweaters, and I think she probably used a finer gauge yarn. I don't know if she used fingering weight or what she used. Probably just a regular fingering weight plied wool. And her sweater, her circle sweater, because I think that's how you pronounce it. It looks like SpecialKHolla, but I think it's pronounced circle. Her sweater, in her on her Instagram, you got to go check it out. You may have to scroll, by the time you see this, you may have to scroll pretty far down in her patterns, her postings. And actually, I think if you search in Instagram in the search feature for SpecialKHolla circle cardigan, you should see hers. She models it like she must have been a professional model in a past life, because she models it beautifully and she wears it beautifully. And she wears it with this great big, like a big belt, like a big wide leather belt around her waist, and it looks amazing. When I saw it, I was like, this is what I'm using my Nutidin for. Okay, keep in mind, when I started that project, I want to say it was like maybe March of last year when I started it. I can't really remember, but I was 40 pounds more than I am now. So I went from an XL to a medium, and this project was knitted in the XL size. So unfortunately, it feels like it's probably a little too big on me. But here we go. Here is the thing about the circle cardigan is it's literally a circle with sleeves, just kind of like plugged in the middle of it. It's massive. It is literally a blanket. It is a blanket you are wearing. It starts with this little tiny, and you can almost see where I started. It almost looks slightly different. It's even, I think, a different size needle that it's knitted on. So you start with this little circle, and then you just work out from there. And it's not so bad, actually. When you are working on the stockinette part of it, it's really not bad. It's really a fairly, quick and easy knit. However, then you get, a little Velcro there, catching on everything. Then you get to this, I think it's 14 inches. It's either 12 or 14 inches of, I think it might be 14 inches of ribbing. Do you see that? Okay, do you see how big this is? I mean, I can't even get the whole thing in the screen. This thing is massive. This is literally a blanket. You wear a blanket. I will never knit another one again, and I will tell you why. It's a lovely knit. It's a lovely sweater. And on some people, I think it's probably awesome. However, the ribbing, as you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, I was looking at an hour to do one round. I think I was looking at an hour per round by the time I was done. I mean, how many rows are in here? Lots. There are lots of rows in here. I was so bored with it, I put it down for like 5 months and didn't even touch it. And then finally I was like, okay, we just need to finish this. And then I realized, because I held the Nutidin double, I didn't have quite enough yarn. So I had to put out a begging and pleading appeal out there to the Instagram world and see if anybody and I actually emailed people through Ravelry who's had it in their stash. The same colorway. This is the Use colorway from Nutidin. I want to say it was either 2021 or 2022's how she does Mörker and Lys, which is dark and light, or night and day, something like that in Swedish. This was that year's use color, because I think this year's, I think actually last year I think was yellow, or was this year yellow? I can't remember. She does a different, Carolyn at the yarn company I can't pronounce, who makes Nutiden, she does a different dark and light yarn each year, and this was the light yarn for that year. And it's really cool because it kind of looks like a grayish on here, but if you get close, yeah, you still can't quite see it. Maybe a little bit you can see it. Like, it has pink in it. It's got pink, it's got brown, it's got like gray, maybe yellow, beige, but overall it has like a pinky gray color to it, and I love it. And nothing smells as good as Nutiden. I'm sorry. Nutiden yarn just is like the most amazing smelling yarn you could possibly buy. I will actually just sit there and just like put my face in the plate of yarn because it smells so good. But this sweater, to finish off the talk about the circle sweater, the sweater has the sleeves in like they're not at the halfway, oh geez. They're not at the halfway point of the sweater. They're like a third up that stockinette section. And oh, now I've got fibers on my face from the Nutiden. So you can wear it two different ways. And I'm not going to be able to show it to you now. What I might do is film a video and plug it in maybe at the end. Maybe I'll plug it in here. I don't really know. But you can wear it one way, it looks longer, and one way it looks like a little cropped but very generous cardigan. So let's see if I can figure out how to show this to you. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll film some video at the end, and I'll either put it here or I'll show it to you at the end. But the other thing about this circle cardigan is, and this, because it's literally a blanket that you wear, and there is no structure to it, right? So it's literally a circle, a whole flat circle, which I will put a picture here so you can see when I was blocking it, A, how big it is, and B, that it is literally just a circle with some sleeves plugged in it, because there's no structure to the shoulders whatsoever. It's just sleeves sticking out of the stockinette section. It doesn't stay on my shoulders. And I don't know if you can tell, but my shoulders kind of slope down. I don't have like really, some people are very lucky and they have really like nice flat, straight shoulders. My shoulders kind of slope down, which you really probably can't even appreciate with what I'm wearing right now because it has a little structure. But this falls right off my shoulders. I'm constantly tugging this sweater and pulling it back up to the point where it's just not comfortable to wear. And I have literally months, I mean probably hundreds of hours into this sweater. I am not getting rid of this sweater. I have donated sweaters that no longer fit me to Goodwill. This is not going. So what I figure I'll do with this is probably use this as like when I'm in the house and it's cold and I need something to just cozy up while I'm watching TV and knitting or something. I'm going to use it for that. So it'll be like a wearable blanket. Do you remember, what was that called? Do you remember the Snuggie? Okay, I think the Snuggie, I think you pulled that up over your legs, right? I can't remember how that worked. This is like the knitted version of the Snuggie because it's a blanket that you just put your arms through and you wear. So again, because I was 40 pounds heavier, my sleeves are a lot bigger than they need to be. And I have thought for a hot minute about just cutting these off. And then, because I have enough yarn left that I could do the 2 more sleeves. You really can't rip out Nutiden because it literally comes apart. So, but what I have thought about is cutting off the sleeves and then just picking up stitches and doing skinnier sleeves. But I'm just going to wear it like as a wearable blanket, so it's really not worth it. So I'll try and put a video in here of me wearing it the 2 different ways. But yeah, this is an Afghan. This is not a sweater. Okay, I got a lot of stuff around me. I need to sip something. Okay, So now I believe we're on to whips. Ooh, I should grab the socks too that I'm working on right now. Hold please. Okay, we'll just start with the socks that I'm working on right now, my work in progress, because I've always got a pair of socks going. And I had gone to Austin, my husband and I had gone to Austin, Texas in January for my birthday, and maybe I should tie a little bit of acquisitions in here while we're at it. We'll just kind of like pepper them in. How's that? So these are a pair of socks for him. I had gone to, what was that shop called? Did I write it down? There's a shop in Austin. What is it called? Hill Country Weavers. I went to Hill Country Weavers. Wow, I can't believe I just remembered that. It's like one of the more, I think the more known yarn shops and popular yarn shops, I think in Austin. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them in Austin. That was the dryer, sorry. This is Treehouse Yarns, and it is, oh man, this is nice. It's Treehouse Yarns, Treehouse Knits. This is Treehouse Knits, and this is Most Metal Ever is the color. And so this is 65 superwash merino, 20% silk, and 20% yak. I think the yak is what does it for me, but the silk gives it a really nice feeling too. These socks, I do 2 at a time. This is the Petty Harbor stitch pattern, but I'm doing a toe up sock instead, and this is just a rounded wedge toe, and then I'll do a German short row heel, go up the leg. I'd never done toe up socks before, so I decided I wanted to try some toe up socks. I love toe up socks. So this is the stitch pattern though, is from the Petty Harbor sock pattern, and they're on Ravelry, I believe. This yarn is like, you can't really tell, but it's like a really, you know those really dark denim jeans, the really dark washed or dyed ones? That's what these look like. So they're like a slightly grayish, very, very dark navy. So these will be great socks for him for wearing with jeans or dress pants or whatever. So, but they feel amazing, and it is so amazing as it goes through your fingers as you're knitting. I absolutely love knitting on these. However, I will tell you that I have changed my tune about bags that have zippers. You probably know why. It's probably happened to you. And, do you know how many times I've caught that yarn in this zipper? No. So I think I've changed my tune on bags that have zippers. Oh, there's my Oceans bag. So I've decided no more zipper bags for certainly not for my fingering weight, really nice yarn projects, because I can't tell you many times I have zipped the yarn into it and it'll be little loops sticking out here, and then you have to very carefully try and open it to that point and very carefully get it out of there without breaking it. Knock on wood, I have not broken the yarn yet, but I know it's going to happen. So actually today I'm going to be taking this out of this bag and putting it into my Jezebel B bag, which is the one that's just got like the loop for the handle, so you could just like it kind of can hang right from your arm, which by the way I will tell you is great for flying if you have one of the small size Jezebel B bags, because you can actually put that loop of the strap over the seat of the armrest on the airplane, and it'll hold it beautifully, and you just like, it acts almost like a yarn bowl, and you just, you know, knit right out of there. And the stewardesses, the flight attendants, they like, stewardesses, really, Kathleen? The flight attendants never ever like tell you that you have to put that away for takeoff and landing. So I just stick it on my armrest of my seat in the airplane and just knit away. No zippers. No zippers. Okay, it's a mess here. The other whip I have. So remember I told you that I had originally finished my daughter's, it's camisole number 4, and I had done it in Farmer's Daughter Fibers, which is a merino silk yarn. And it was perfect. Like, okay, so this is Farmer's Daughter Fibers by Foxy Lady by Farmer's Daughter Fibers, and it's a merino silk. You can, in this, you really see that color striping happening way more than you do in person. It's definitely, I think, a flaw in this yarn, and you'd probably have to helical knit it to not get it. And you cannot tell this when it's skeined up and when it's caked up. A lot of times when you take yarns like indie dyed yarns, and this fits that category, but sort of, because it was a tonal. It's a tonal yarn. Usually when you cake up a knitty dyed yarn, you can see the color variations, because when it's on the skein and it's beautiful and you see these gorgeous pools of color here and there, you know, and you just like drool and you die over them and you're like, oh my gosh, like here's a good example. Like this, you just like see this color change and these play of colors, and you just drool over that. That is not what it looks like when you knit with it. And it's the best way you're going to get an idea as to what it's going to look like when you knit with it is if you make it into a cake. And I'm not talking a hand wound ball. No, you got to use oh, that's something else I got to show you. I'll have to pull that out too. You have to get your Swift, you have to get your ball winder, and you have to make it into a cake. And if you do that, then in the cake, you can see what it's going to look like when it's knitted up. Because while this is stunningly beautiful, I mean, those colors are amazing, and how they play together is just like perfection. Same with this one. This one probably actually will cake up a little bit better than the Hue Loco one. Here's another one. Like, you see them in the store, and you fall, somebody I know just drove by. You see them in the store and you just fall in love with the way the colors play on the skein. That's not what they look like when you knit them. But this is a tonal, and honestly, I really did not expect this one to behave like this. And it really kind of annoys me, and I probably won't, and actually I know I won't buy the yarn again because it also does not wear well. So you can see those striping things going on there. Yeah, it doesn't look as bad in person as it does in this. So anyway, so I made it for my daughter, tried it on her as I was making it, and then when it was finished, she wore it. No, I blocked it. So I tried it on her, fit her fine. I blocked it, and because it is a silk merino, and I think it's probably more silk than it is merino, it just went whoosh. It got wider, it got longer, to the point where she put it on, it did not fit like she expected anymore. And she was actually taking a hair tie and like on the back of it, like bunching up, like, let me see if I can do it, like this much of the sweater, tying it with a hair tie and bunching it up. And I was like, no, I spent too much time on this project for this to end up looking like this. And she didn't even like it. She didn't want to wear it because it was so big. So I'm reknitting it. I went down a needle size, and I went 2 sizes down in the pattern, and just tried it. This is, so you can see I had her try it on. So I have the barber cords in there right now, which I love, by the way. They're great. So I had her try it on last night, and it fits. It's got negative ease now rather than positive ease. So it's got negative ease. So I know when I finish this and I block it, it's going to fit her probably perfectly. So I have to do like 3 or 4 more inches of it. And then I will bind it off, and then I'll do the straps. So it's got, you know, the little points there and on the front and the little points on the back. So I'll make little I-cord straps for it. And the reason I don't like this yarn is because it's not trustworthy. You don't know how much stretch you're going to get out of it when you block it. And at some point you do have to wash your sweaters, right? So it's fine to steam block them and they look very pretty, but at some point you have to wash your sweater. So a wet block in my mind is best because I'm going to have to wash it at some point anyway. So that way I can see better what I'm going to end up with in the end. and I didn't like it, and I frogged it, and I made it all over again. So I don't like it for that reason, and also because I don't know if you can see, like, it's not pilling, but it's almost like the beautiful, silky, shiny fibers are dull now. And it just looks worn. And she's honestly maybe worn it once or twice, and I blocked it that one time. And that's just the wear. It's almost like how maybe a pair of black jeans gets pretty quickly. And they kind of have that little bit of a worn look to them. And also the yarn's very splitty when you knit with it. So I had to switch from my Chow Goose to my Addies. And I actually have decided I really miss my Addies. I feel like I want a set and I want to use my Addies more because I really love knitting with them. Because with this project, because they're more blunt in the tip than the Chow Goose, they are better with not splitting this yarn. So I'm much happier knitting it on the Addies, and it flies across the Addie needles. And then I got myself a yarn bowl. So our local, there's like I've had to use the laundromat lately because my washer's broken. That's a whole other story. And there happens to be an art gallery right next to the laundromat that I go to in the most random place you can imagine, because I live semi-rurally and it's a pretty amazing little place. And there's a potter. Her name is Heather Bartman. Her name is actually in the price. It's actually still on the bottom of the bowl. But someone told me that this is porcelain. I guess it's porcelain. And I just fell in love with the colors and the texture and everything about this bowl. And the yarn, it's not rough here. It's a little rough right down here, but it's not rough in here where the yarn comes out. She's clearly a knitter, the woman who made this. And it just slides beautifully through there. This yarn bowl was a game changer. If she makes more of them, I'm going to buy at least one or two more because I 100% love it. I can imagine doing color work with your yarn balls in these different yarn bowls. I love it. And then here's what the inside looks like. Yeah, it's so pretty. I love it. I definitely want more of them. And I want to gift them to other knitters I know. All right, we're down to the last few things. Next working project. I'm probably definitely going to be splitting this up. Next working project. Next I'm making the women's felted slippers. And I have a pair of like Skechers slippers or something like that. And, you know, by the end of the winter, they're like gross. And I've had wool slippers in the past and they just breathe so well. But the wool slippers I had didn't wear very well. They were felted, like a boiled felted. They were German, like a boiled felted wool. And when I walk, my toes go up. And my toes, for whatever reason, go up when I step. And so I would wear a hole in the top of the slipper in like up here in that part of the slipper. So I decided I would just I'll just make myself wool slippers every year or whatever and felt them myself. So I got this pattern. I really like the pattern. And this is, wait for it. Oh, this is Lamb's Pride worsted. And I have it in 3 colors. I mean, I'm not even going to go through the colors for you because it's gray, pink, and brown. I mean, Lamb's Pride just comes in so many colors, right? So the heather brown is the sole. And the sole, I think as I recall, yes, it's held double for the sole. And then I did this pink and then I did this gray. And this is an example of why I like to knit things 2 at a time. And I just didn't have cords long enough to do these 2 at a time. And the way they're knitted, they don't lend themselves to knitting 2 at a time. You really can't knit these 2 at a time. So I am doing a magic loop, but I'm doing them 1 at a time. And because of that, I have one that is really nice. It's perfect. It's going to felt beautifully. And when it felts up, like all this little weird shaping in here it'll go away, and it'll be a really cute little felted slipper. And the opening is perfect. Everything about it is perfect. This was the first one I had knit. Okay, can you see the difference in size? Do you see how much bigger? Look at how much bigger the first one is. That's just tension difference. And I find that when I start a project, I start more loosely, and then as I go along, I get snugger in my gauge. So first one, second one. The second one's perfect. So what I'm going to do is, and the first one, actually the sole is the same. It's up in the gray area where I seem to have the biggest difference, and maybe the pink. Yeah, so the pink and the gray have to come out on this. No, yeah, on this one. So they have been languishing because I don't want to mess with them. I'm kind of done with them, but I do want a pair of slippers, wool slippers, because they just breathe so much better. So I really just need to buckle down and do it. But what I need to do is rip out the gray and the pink, and then I could still use the sole and just knit it at a tighter stitch. I'm going to use the same needles. I'm not going to go down a needle size. I'm just going to be more conscious about how snugly I'm knitting it, and just kind of like compare them. I'll finish off this one and finish the top, and then I will use this needle, and I will just kind of compare them. These are ChiaoGoo interchangeables. I have the set. I have two sets actually. I have the small set with the 4-inch, and then I have so the small set has like all sock needle sizes, like from 3/0 up to 3, I think, 2 or 3. I have that set. And then I also have the other set that has sock size and the bigger ones in it. I don't remember what size. These are like 11s, I think, something like that. So that's an interchangeable set that I had to use. Can you see I had to use like a couple of the cables? This actually, I don't think it's all 3 of them. I think it's just two of the 3 cables. So this one I like, this one I don't like. I'll rip this one out and reknit it so it's more like this, and I'll just compare it as I'm going along. I'll just compare that, make sure that I'm right on gauge with this one. That's a whip. That's languishing. I guess you could call that a UFO. At some point, I will work on it. We shall see. I really hope you have some like tea or coffee or something, and you're joining along with me, because like I don't drink a ton of coffee anymore. I do still drink coffee, but not a ton. So I need to sip something. Okay, next whip. I got a couple of them here. A couple more. I showed you my socks. Actually, I probably only have... I showed you the socks. I showed you the camisole that I'm reknitting. And I am enjoying reknitting it, actually. I'm a process knitter. So to me, it's not really a big deal to rip something out and knit it again. Unless it's hard to rip out like the circle in the knitted in. So that one of my whips is the camisole number 4 that I'm reknitting. One is the pair of socks for my husband. At some point I'll finish them. They're my, like, when I, sit in my car at lunch or something like that. The other thing is, so our dog is very old. And he had some blankies in his crate. And at some point he had an accident in his crate. And the blankies didn't survive. So I was like, what am I going to do? I was going to just like go to, I don't know, like Target or Walmart and get him a baby blanket and let him use that in his crate. Something that his claws wouldn't catch in. And couldn't find anything. I try to be very conscious of the amount of plastic that comes into our house. And so I try to avoid any kind of plastic-based materials in fabrics. Not always possible, but and in fact, you'll see what I'm crocheting this from. It's definitely not possible because it has to be very washable. But everything I found in like Walmart and Target were just like these thin, they were either thick, double layered and expensive, or they were very thin and crappy. And neither was going to work for him. So I decided, well, I'll just make another blanket like he had. So a friend of mine had made him 2 crocheted Afghans, doggy blanket size. Go figure. She makes them for her local, she actually crochets them up and donates them all of them to her local dog shelter. I don't know if it's Humane Society or it's some kind of animal shelter. She donates them all to those dogs. So kind, so kind. She had made 2 of them and sent them to me for my dog. He's old, and she sent them a couple years ago, and he got a couple great years out of them. They're just granny square blankets, but a lot of time goes into making them, and I was so grateful for them, and he destroyed them. So I thought, well, I know how to crochet. Maybe I should just crochet him another one. I decided that yesterday when I couldn't find a blanket at Target. Remember, I said I decided that yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, I think it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yesterday afternoon, maybe 3 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock. It was definitely in the afternoon. I was like, I'm just going to make it. I have so many acrylic scraps, again, plastic, but they're scraps. It's all the stuff that I'm working my way through that I've got upstairs. I grabbed all my colors of my acrylic scraps that kind of are the same weight. They're not all the same weight, but they're kind of the same weight. And decided I'm just going to make him a scrappy blanket. It's going to look like a train wreck, but I'm going to make a scrappy blanket. This is what I've got so far. I mean, that was 24 hours ago. I started this 24 hours ago, and I have not been crocheting on it in a marathon 24 hours. That's just how fast you can crochet something. So this and this are some kind of bulky weight something. I think it's Plymouth yarn. No ball bands, no nothing on anything. I don't even know the weight. I just have to kind of eyeball and guess the weight. I guess I could wrap it around a knitting needle and figure it out, but I'm just eyeballing it and guessing based on my 30 years of knitting. Whoops. And I am pulling out stitches. So let's do this. And at first it was looking like, yeah, kind of coordinating, right? That's black. It's not navy, it's black. This is a multicolor, then black, then this like acid green color, and then the last of the multi, and then I did some red. And I'm basically just using up, like when a skein can finish around, I stop there, cut it, and the rest is gonna get, the little bits that are left are gonna get probably maybe put out for the birds to use. I don't know. Now we're into the train wreck colors. Can you see like this beige next to the gray, next to the red, next to the multi? Like now we're in train wreck territory. But guess what? He's a dog. He's not going to care. It doesn't have to match anything. He's not going to care if it's not a beautiful coordinating style. It is literally a scrappy blanket for him. So I have this much. Oh, this one does have a ball band. This one I think is a worsted weight. This is a, wait for it. Yeah, this is a worsted weight acrylic. It's basic stitch premium. I mean, some of the scraps that I'm using are like 25-year-old scraps of acrylic yarn from when I first started crocheting and knitting. So I have no idea when I got it, where I got it, how long ago I got it, none of that. But this will probably get me through, because we're getting bigger now, this will probably get me through maybe 4 rounds, 3 or 4 rounds, something like that. I'm discovering it gobbles up a lot of yarn as it gets bigger. So I'll probably get 3 or 4 rounds out of this. And then I have this green color, which is like a heavy worsted, maybe closer to Aran weight. These others might be Aran weight. Also the same yarn. I think I had made something where I put the 2 of these together. And I just had a lot more of the beige than I did of the green. I know what I did. I think I had made some, my grandson was a baby. I made him a bunch of hats. And so I think that's what this is left over from. And then upstairs I do, like, I don't think I'm going to get a full blanket out of this. So upstairs I do have some more scraps. The colors get even more random. So I will, I'm just going to keep going along until I have the size blanket that he's going to need for his crate to make him comfy again. And at the rate I'm going, I'll probably have it finished tonight. So that is a whip. All right, let's do a little bit of acquisitions. I wasn't really going to do this, but I had to go upstairs to get the gray cone. And so we might as well do some acquisitions. I've never bought coned yarn before. but I really like it. So I wish more companies sold coned yarn, because A, you get more for your money, and B, it's easy to store. Those cones are very easy to store, and I just like how they look. I like knitting off of them. I think they're great. I really enjoy a coned yarn, but I was not able to get everything in cones, obviously. So I mentioned the shibui. So the sweater I'm wearing, I did find, I think I want to say this sweater, I think this sweater only took like 2.5 skeins of yarn. Yeah. Well, partly because I did a short sleeve, and it's not cropped, but it's not a long sweater by any means. So I might actually have enough to make another one of these sweaters. I might do that. This is Shibui Billow. The color is, what did I say it was? Graphite? Color is, wait for it. Color number 200. All right, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? Here they are. I got new specs too. Color is graphite. Color number 2002 graphite, and this is DK weight. So this is DK weight yarn. And it is 41% cotton, 35% alpaca, baby alpaca, and 24% merino. It is quite the blend, actually. And I'm pretty sure the cotton is that white core that it has. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. It's like a cord sort of, and when they spun it, they picked up the fibers of the baby alpaca and the merino. I love this color. I love this color. Like this is my jam. So I got that. I had also picked up, and that was like 50% off because Shibui was going out of business. I got some, and this I bought before Shibui announced they were going out of business, but I did buy some Shibui nest to make the post. It's called the post poncho. I may or may not still make the post poncho because when I bought the yarn, I bought it for when I was bigger. So I'll need a smaller size now. And after looking at it again, will I wear it? I don't really know. So it may or may not be made into a post poncho. I don't really know. Watch this space. And then when I bought the billow, when I bought this, I was like, Shibui is 50% off. What do you have left? I'll buy whatever I can. And because it was all 50% off, and they had a sweater's quantity of more nest in this mustard color. Now, it's not really my color, but it could end up as a gift knit for somebody. So I have a sweater's quantity. It was originally $20. I got it for $10 a skein. So I bought a sweater's quantity. I actually literally saw what they had left, and I like grabbed it like this, and I just like took it to the register. I think it's like 7 skeins. It's not a ton. Okay, I mentioned going to Austin, Texas. Okay, first, well, wait, let's talk about Christmas time. I had the best Secret Santa. Like, he did the most. He was like 19-year-old guy. I don't know who he had helping him with the gifts, but we did a gift a day for 4 days, and then like small little, like, you know, like no more than $5, whatever, gift a day. And he did a great job on the 4 days. And then on the 5th day, he went to, this 19-year-old guy went to my favorite yarn shop in town. I'm a teacher there too, occasionally. So he said who he was in there to buy for. They knew who I am, and they were like, oh, she loves sock yarn. She likes to make socks. You should get her some sock yarn. How cute is that? So this will go into some Christmas socks this year. I don't know if I'll make them all. It's got stellina in it. I don't know if I'll make them with like all of this, or I'll combine it probably with some other colors. Maybe some indie dyed yarn or something that's in like Christmas colors. This is Leading Men Fiber Arts, and it is, the colorway is Poison Apple. It is fingering weight sock yarn, and it is 75-25 superwash merino nylon, and then of course, no, 75-20 because it has 5% lurex, which is the stellina in there. He did such a great job. I was just like, that is so thoughtful. Yeah, that was so cute. So I can't wait to work with this. I'll do this like probably in the fall. I'll make a pair. Maybe I'll make a couple pair of Christmas socks. Maybe for a pair of for my husband. Oh, I don't know if he'll ever wear them, but maybe I'll make a pair for my daughter and I. Some Christmas socks. Or maybe my grandson and I'll make Christmas socks. So I'll use that for part of it. Okay. Then in previous episodes, I think in my very first episode, I talked about how much there are some yarns that I really love, some yarn companies I really love for different reasons. And Yarn Cafe Creations is one of them. This is the honey, and I've shown this before. This is the Honey Crisp color in their biscotti sock, her biscotti sock. Biscotti sock does not wear super well in that it is very, very, very pilly. Like it wears well. It's a little heavier. It's a fingering weight, but it kind of knits up like a heavy fingering weight. And it's not quite sport, I guess. Sport's next, right? Fingering sport DK. It's not quite sport weight. So it's like a heavy fingering. And you can really see in it actually how the halo it has on it. It's very soft. I mean, it's like butter. It's so soft. But that being said, in a sock, then it really pills a lot. It also kind of felts a little bit when you wash it, which is interesting because it's a superwash yarn. It's 85 superwash, 15 nylon, and it felts a little bit. So I've discovered with the biscotti sock, I have to hand wash. I cannot put them in the washing machine because I put all my socks in the washing machine, but I do dry them on my sock blockers. These socks, I can't even put them in the washing machine because they get so pilly. So I have stopped buying biscotti sock. I do still love her product, and I think I had already bought 3 skeins of this thinking I would make a garment maybe out of it, but it's not quite like, I guess that's what, 4, 8, 12, I guess the size I have now. I probably could make a garment out of it, but at the time I was thinking not quite enough to make a sweater out of. So I thought, well, what can I coordinate with it? And at the same time I had bought, I already showed you some of the Hue Loco. This is Juicy. This is in the merino sock, which is 80/20 merino nylon. And this color is Juicy. This was out, I want to say 2 years ago she put this out. Like right when the pandemic, like when we started opening up again, I think is when this came out. And these colors are just like, this is not doing it justice because it's like a creamy caramel, almost like a latte, like a really, maybe even a flat white, like a latte mixed with bright fuchsia pink and some coral, which is getting that tone from like oranges and browns. And there's deep purples in here with the hot pinks. And then in here, there's like a more of a peach tone. And then the creamy, like the combination of colors is amazing. So I had 3 of this, and I have, I think, 3 of this. And again, I was like, what can I do with them? So I needed a coordinating color so I could figure something out. I could make a whole lot of socks, which I didn't want to do. I wanted to make a garment. So I thought, well, what can I put with it? And I just was looking for months for something to go with it. And finally, I had won a gift card from Treasure Goddess through the Fiber Chats podcast. Treasure Goddess was on there, and like if you had posted a comment, and they would random pick, and somebody in the comments got a $50 gift card, which was very generous. And so I won, and then I was like, well, that's great. I was super stoked because I thought, well, I can make a pair of socks. And then because I think the skeins of yarn were like $30 each, and so what I did, $30 or $38, I can't remember. So what I did was I ordered 2. So I got the one for free, and then I ordered another one too. And quite frankly, I would like to support local dyers that way, indie dyers that way. So I got my gift card, but I did actually pay for a skein of yarn as well. So what I did was I found a color. She actually had a really great color that coordinates with both of these. So these don't go together. They're just, no. Maybe in a fade, but I mean, maybe in a fade, but quite frankly, I think fades are kind of going out of style, and I don't really want a fade. I wanted something I could potentially pair with these. So check this out. This one is called tarnished brass. So for the treasure goddess, everything she makes is like a pirate theme. All her names are like pirate themed or ocean themed. And I don't know if you can really see it very well, but it really goes really well together with this yarn. I take my glasses off again because I can't see you as well. So it kind of catches this, like the peachy, orangey colors that are in here. It definitely catches the orangey tone that's down, the like gold tone that's down here. And it also goes with this. I feel like it goes better with this than it does with the other one because the Honeycrisp has a lot of these same tones of gold in it. And this, it just pairs really well together. So then I can make a garment out of it. I don't know what I'm going to make, but I can make a garment out of it. So I got 2 of these. I could put one actually with both of them and do maybe some kind of color work or something, or maybe a micro striping. I'm not really sure. So but I would only be able to do micro striping or striping in part of whatever garment I make because I would just be able to use one with each of them. So I'm not really sure yet what that's going to work up to and how I'm going to use it, but it's going to happen because I searched for months for something that would coordinate with these yarns. So that's an acquisition. And then the last acquisitions that I have, I think we're almost done. The last one I have is so we went to Austin, Texas. I told you we went to Austin and I went into Hill Country Weavers, and I have never before seen in person Suburban Stitcher's yarns. She's actually, I think she's in Houston. She's at Houston or Dallas. I think she's in Houston. She was basically a local indie dyer. And I've also never in person seen La Bien-Aimée yarns. And they had a whole bunch of La Bien-Aimée fingering weight yarn there. And then of course you saw the Treehouse knits that I had gotten. That's the merino silk yak that I just absolutely, in my hands, I love. So I was like, this is my souvenir from my trip to Austin for my birthday. And so I got myself some yarn. So the idea being a skein for my husband. So I would make him a pair of socks because he only wears and only likes to wear my socks. But I fell in love with the colors. This is Suburban Stitcher. And this colorway is Starstruck. And it's 75-25 merino nylon. 460 yards to 100 grams. That's pretty generous for 100 grams. It's a bit thinner fingering weight yarn. So 460 grams to 100 yards makes sense. So I'll have to keep that in mind when I'm knitting up, that if I'm doing socks that I have to go up a size basically in, like instead of 64 for myself, I'll cast on 72 because it's a lighter, this is definitely going to be socks for me because it's a lighter weight fingering weight yarn. It's a lighter gauge fingering weight yarn. So I love this. I just love these colors, the play of color in here. And again, it'll look totally different when I ball it up into a cake. But I absolutely love, there's so many colors in here. Like when you knit it, it's going to be so fun because like every couple of stitches, like a pop of something's going to come out. But overall, it's like this pastel-y, really pastel-y color. I love the colors in here. They're so interesting. There's so much going on here. I can't wait to knit that. So that'll be a pair of socks, probably a couple pair of socks. What I can get out of a skein like this is usually a pair of regular socks and a pair of shorty socks. So a pair of crew height and a pair of shorties. So, especially if I do alternating colors for heels and toes. So that, and then, okay, this was a luxurious purchase because this was $42 for a skein of this yarn. The color is called Patagonia. It is a cashmere merino. It is 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, 10% nylon in the colorway Patagonia. The yarn itself, I guess it's just cashmere merino, I think is the name of the base. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, overall it's gray. We've decided gray is one of my favorite colors. But there is, I don't know if you can see in here, there is green. There's green and gold. There is, down here, there's some dark brown speckles. Up here, there's like really organic, like that almost reminds me of like spring flowers of some kind. There's a dark green, and then there's yellow and pink and peach, a little bit of red coming out of there. And there's like this is like a steel gray right here, and it has lighter grays in it. This is gonna knit up amazing. These are going to be the most luxurious pair of socks I probably ever owned. And this might be like biscotti sock in that these might pill as well, because cashmere pills. So this might pill too. We shall see. It feels a lot like biscotti sock actually. It's actually squishier than biscotti sock, but it's got the same type of texture to it. So these will be very luxurious socks for myself. It is, how many yards? It is, wait for it, it is 474 yards per 100 grams. So again, it's a light fingering weight, although it doesn't really, I mean, honestly, it doesn't look like light fingering weight, but it is 474 yards per 100 grams. That's 433 meters per 100 grams. So we'll see how much I'm going to do. I'll definitely do probably a pair of shorties first, and then a pair of toe-up socks, and then I'll just finish. I just want to finish the skein. I don't want to leave any of this glorious yarn after that, so I'll probably do something like that. I feel like this yarn will be wasted on a pair of shorties, like frankly. I don't know. I got to think about that one, but this was one of my souvenirs from my trip to Austin. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll be seeing you much more frequently in 2023. Bye, guys. So one of my favorite podcasts out there is Tales from Cuckoo Land. If you ever watch Gaina, she's awesome. One of the things I love about her is she's so real. Like, she'll put herself out there with like no makeup on or whatever. You know, kitchen's a mess, laundry room's a mess, house is a mess, or it's beautiful and tidy, you know, like whatever. I just love that she just like brings you along with her life. So I kind of want to do the same thing, kind of vlog style. Right now I am outside with the hens. It's time to just kind of do the weekly maintenance on the coop. So yeah, let's just get this done. I gotta fill their water, gotta fill their feeder, I gotta scoop the poop from the nest boxes. I have to grab eggs. Let's see if we have any eggs. Let's see. Oh boy, I'm gonna show you. Okay, so we're in the coop now, and you can see I gotta scoop the poop. I put sand on my poop board. I know I've told you guys this before. Hi girls! You wonder what's going on? Yeah. Look, we have 3 here. We have 3 here. We have 1 here. And somebody pooped in there. That's easy to clean up. So I have 7 eggs, which is about what I've been getting lately, is about 7 to 9 eggs per day. Sometimes I only get 3 eggs. But we're back to pretty much prime egg laying season. That window has to get replaced. It's literally just a piece of, like, I think it's a Ziploc baggie I have taped over that window. Anyway, let's go in. Hi, birds. Hello, birds. Hello, my bird. Yes. Yeah, hi, bird. You too, bird. Yeah. That's my girls. That's my girls. You guys are so good. All right, I'm gonna close this. I don't want you getting out. I'm gonna come scoop the poop. Yes, I hear you. I'm gonna come scoop the poop. And now it's clean. Of course, somebody was joining me in there and walking around in there as I was scooping it. You see all those little footprints in there? Yeah. And it's just about time to do spring cleaning, so you'll see nice scrubbed. Everything will be scrubbed pretty soon, and there'll be fresh sand up there. Oh yeah, I gotta refill your feeder. I'm coming. Yeah, stop pecking at me. Yeah, I don't know why you're pecking at me. There's no food there. Okay, now that hurt. Girls, Helen. Oh no, that's Pearl. No, that's Helen. That over there is Pearl. And she's loud. This is the time of year when I do, I put up this sunshade. My coop is massive, by the way. But this is the time of year I have to put up this sunshade over their run. Would you please? Seriously? Must you? Ouch. No. Come on. You gotta get your water and fill your water. Gotta fill the water. Still need the warmer because night times, I think it was 25 last night. It'll be 25 tonight, but it's like 60 degrees right now, so maybe 55. But yeah, this sunshade protects them in the summertime from the worst of the heat. Gives them some place to escape to and escape the hawks and escape the hot temperatures. Out there they can run out to the bigger run. They got a lot of space out here. They are not hurting for space. Okay, I'm gonna go out and collect eggs. I repurpose these. Everybody at work gives them back to me. We have planks out here because in the wintertime, when it snows and melts and snows and melts and snows and melts, this becomes a flipping muddy mess. At some point, it's going to have pea gravel in here and it will drain well, but for now, it is a flipping muddy mess. So, yeah, I walk across the boards. Just gave them fresh water. Right. Birds. I don't have any treats right now. Later on, we'll collect eggs. Okay. Just one right here. Collect this one. Here. Yeah, you're not coming out. Collect this one. Ooh, that one was warm. Someone was just sitting on the nest. Get your nose out of there. Get your nose out of there. They will break an egg and eat it if they can. Oh, that one's warm too. So is that one. Someone was just sitting here, right? Oh, are you gonna lay an egg for me? Yeah, you gonna lay an egg? Little bird. You can lay an egg. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna leave you alone. So you can lay an egg if you want. TTFN. You guys are so nosy. So we're doing an addition on our house. And you can kind of see the old roof line. This house was built in probably the late 1880s. Officially it says 1910. We're adding a 2-car garage, a master bathroom, walk-in closets, brand new front porch, all new exterior siding because it was rotting. It was old cedar siding, original, to the house. Yeah, you know how old it is. And a new roof. So this little area here, this was an addition at some point, we don't know when. That's laundry room, the existing bathroom, and the dining room. That's gonna get a metal roof. That little shed roof it has is gonna be metal. All that up on the top is gonna be composite shingle in a charcoal, really not black, but pretty dark roof. And then the porch on the front's gonna get a metal roof. But it's supposed to rain and snow this week, so yeah, it's gonna slow things down.